So I have to ask you, so I have to ask you British people a very serious question. Why is it so hard to complain here? Now, I'm not talking about the complaints about things just to like blow off steam or that kind of thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the complaining about something that's wrong that should be fixed. So, like in America, if something's wrong, for example, with your food, if they bring you the wrong order or they give you fries instead of salad, you say something because that's what you ordered. You're paying for it. You should get what you ordered. But in the UK, you might get the wrong meal, and after but in the UK, you might get the wrong meal after waiting a long time for the service and then still leave saying, "Oh yeah, it's totally fine. It was delicious. Thank you." So I have to ask you, Britain, why? This is one of the biggest culture shocks I've had since I've moved here because back home, obviously a very consumer driven culture, and we are very much based on, like, the customer is always right kind of concept. So complaining politely is completely normal. You have the wrong order, you speak up. If you get bad service, you speak to the manager. If you are not happy with the way something's turned out, you definitely have a conversation with the powers that be. Now, some people do take it to an extreme in a way to try to get something for free, but I believe that's a completely separate issue. This is where you actually have a legitimate complaint, problem that you need solved or you think should be solved. In my opinion, it should be solved. I feel like it is a right, particularly when you're paying for a product or service, to make sure that you're getting what you expect. And that if you're not getting what you expect, that you have the right to say something so that even if you don't get a specific compensation, this mistake doesn't happen in the future. It's almost like a way of giving back the patronage in order to ensure that future patrons get what they deserve, get what they expect. But here in the UK, people will literally eat the wrong dish just to be polite. They'll apologize to the waiter and even say thank you as they leave after what would be a very grotesque and horrible experience for them. So I just don't understand. I don't get it. This is one of those situations that I feel like is more of a fakeness rather than a politeness, in my opinion. I understand it's about avoiding confrontation. Like there's an unspoken rule in the UK where you don't make a fuss if you don't have to. And I kind of get that to an extent because you don't want to disturb the peace. It's about community. Not everything's about you and recognizing that. And I do support that and acknowledge that. But there's a difference between swallowing frustration that is legitimate and avoiding confrontation, in my opinion. You know, if someone's late for an appointment or whatever, you might sit there and complain under your breath and moan and sigh, but you still will smile politely and swallow the frustration, even though it's unacceptable. I suppose that some of it is a little bit of history, that deep-seated, like, cultural value about stoicism, patience, and humility that y'all have. There is a certain charm in the British humility and how you will kind of just wait your turn. But I have to be completely honest that sometimes it drives me nuts. I mean, you're literally apologizing to someone who messed up for you. It's almost like everybody here kinda secretly believes that complaining is a moral failing and rather than a right of rectifying something that's wrong. I remember one time I was in a coffee shop and I once waited like 20 minutes to get someone's attention and almost felt like I was bothering them when I was there patroning the coffee shop and it's their job to wait on me, right? Why was I seen as some kind of loud, obnoxious, rude American because I was like, "Can I get my order?" after waiting 20 minutes to have my order placed. So I think that that's reasonable. I just think that there's a line, right? And I think that if it crosses a line, they should definitely step up. Now, I've seen British people step up and complain when it's an extreme thing, but when it's kind of in that middle gray area, y'all tend to just shut down and be polite and complain under your breath or after the fact later rather than actually complaining at the time to try to rectify the situation. So, in that gray area alone, I have to ask British people, is your politeness brilliant or does it actually make life unnecessarily complicated for you? I'd really like you to comment below and let me know. Now, remember, I'm genuinely asking why to understand why you might have stayed silent when you really, really, really desperately wanted to complain and what your reasoning was behind it, because it just doesn't resonate or cement for me in any way. I want to know your take. And if you're an American, maybe you have a perspective on this as well. Please let me know in the comments. And if you're outside of the UK or the US, definitely want to know what you think about this, even if it's not British culture or American culture specifically, but like how you would handle something similar in your neck of the woods. That would be awesome. Thank you guys so much for your help, and I'll talk to you next time.